commissioners that are jumping on. So in the instance of time, I will go ahead and get us started now. So good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. It is the middle of the summer, so I'm very glad that we can officially continue this meeting. So I will call it to order this July 2025 business meeting of the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Going down our attendance. So Commissioner Milling, good morning. Commissioner Haley, good morning. Commissioner Hughes, good morning. Commissioner Barnes, good morning. Commissioner Baker, good morning. Commissioner Armenti, good morning. Commissioner Creary, good morning. Commissioner Parker, good morning. And Commissioner Dupree Wilson, good morning to you all. And Commissioner Coles has just jumped on, so good morning to Commissioner Coles as well. We will move on with our agenda. So to Commissioner Barnes, I saw your email. We did not get the meeting minutes for our last meeting in time, so we will table the review and approval of the June 2025 business meeting minutes until our next meeting, which we will also discuss as well. So again, review and approval of last month's meeting minutes will be tabled, and we will revisit that at our next business meeting. So moving along with chair's comments and the soul check. I don't have too many comments right now. It's the middle of the summer. I'm just really getting started with my vacation. I'm grateful for that. But again, grateful to see you all. Thank you for your commitment to this work. As you all know, we are winding down, so we are officially less than a year until this story is closed for now. So I certainly appreciate, again, the commitment to making sure we finish strong. And that certainly lends itself to the final report, which we will be spending the majority of our time this morning and afternoon discussing. So with that, I make space for any other commissioners to share anything that they would like to get off their chest, get off their soul at this moment. All right, I'm gonna trust everybody's soul is clean then. That works for me. That works for me. All right. Constant practice. So moving along with our agenda. To the members of the public who are joining us this morning, thank you all so much for, again, your continued commitment in supporting this necessary work. So as always, to members of the public who would like to introduce themselves and be acknowledged, please do so in the chat. You can give your name, any organizational affiliations you want to acknowledge. And once again, we are grateful for you being on this journey along with us. Moving to the next part of our agenda, which is committee reports. Any of the committee leads that would like to provide any updates at this time, please do so. And at that point, we can then transition to our new business. So to our committee chairs, any reports that you'd like to share at this time?
There's no report from logistics.
Okay.
No report from research.
All right. Reconciliation, Commissioner Creary, any updates you'd like to share?
Yeah, we got all sorts of fun stuff happening. We met on Friday, and yeah, I guess this is going to get us into new business, if you will. But looking at the final report process, the writers from 3PV have completed preliminary drafts of all the case studies, and they've received and are continuing to receive feedback from local coalitions and local scholars who have contributed to the research on those. And so while they're doing that, they've kind of put out saying, hey, we'd like to get started on part 2, the recommendations for reparations. And that's where, as I told the folks on the committee, we got to step up our game, because as the commission, it's our responsibility to make the recommendations. And so yes, they're going to write it up, but it's on us to come up with the content of those recommendations. So we started looking a good deal more closely at some of the work that Dr. Michelle Gewirtz and her students at Loyola University, Maryland have put together. They put together a 3-page code book, sort of looking at broad themes and broad categories in which recommendations were given. And this was based, and I don't know why I'm talking about this, Professor Gewirtz, you're here. I don't know if you'd maybe like to tell us about the work that you've done, including, it's like the one with, linking all of these recommendations to quotations from all of the hearings. It's a monumental amount of work that she and her students have done, and I certainly want to make sure that she gets her props for that, but you could explain this far better than I, and I can pull up a couple of things if you want, just as a way to kind of start talking about, to use one of my favorite proverbs, we need to start putting some meat on these bones. So if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, Dr. Gewirtz, just give us a quick overview.
Thank you so much, Dr. Creary. There's not so much to add to that, but indeed, as Commissioner Creary was highlighting, there is kind of a code book that highlights the key themes of recommendations that came out, both broad ones that are accountability and reparations for descendants, reparations more broadly, and then specifics focused on different institutions, so policing, media, you name it. And that 3-page document is the easiest for starting because it's less overwhelming, and each of the descriptions of each of these codes, these themes, seeks to highlight all the recommendations connected to it that came up in the different hearings. Now, so far, that only includes the hearings up until those last 2 days, right? So it doesn't include the April 4th, April 5th. And there were so many powerful recommendations, as you all know, that come up in those. But that's what that includes. And then, as Commissioner Creary was highlighting, there's also a few 100-page report that includes all the different quotes that connect to those specific themes, whether it be the writers who then go through that much broader report to see how they can provide evidence that these ideas came from expert witnesses, descendants, from all of you, the commissioners, etc. So, and I'm here for any questions throughout this entire process. It's been a journey. It's been a privilege to be able to really support the Reconciliation Committee and the MLTRC with this, truly.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Gewirtz. That's, again, I can't thank you enough for the work that you and your students have done here. But I just very quickly shared my screen here, and what we have here is the list of sort of the broad themes that Dr. Gewirtz identified. This would be page 1 of that 3-page document. Commissioner Hughes, you have a question.
Well, I can wait till you finish.
Okay. No, I was just saying, so these are the broad themes, that they identified coming from the hearings, prior to the last 2-day hearing. And also, as you can see, if you look here, I mean, this is the document that I'd prepared, sort of looking broadly at, sort of categorizing these things. So we've got symbolic reparations, things like, the posthumous indictments. We've got material reparations, reparations that are, specific to African Americans. Let me just, for example, quickly just come back up here, looking at, empowerment zones, for example, to support, Black-owned businesses or Black businesses, reparations, recommendations, primarily for African Americans. And again, on all of these, I've tried to include rationale for them, and then broader policy recommendations, which would be looking at policy more broadly. And then here on this last one, and this is where I'm going to say, yes, folks, why don't I have anything? I guess I didn't transfer that stuff over. But anyway, let me go back here. Looking at, sort of the second page, second and third pages, looking at those recommendations, we sort of, went through this on Friday and looked at, sort of broadly, recommendations dealing with community education, dealing with, community broadly, public or formal education, things like curriculum, law enforcement, legal system, media, and mental health and healing, were sort of the broader categories that, we identified as we started looking at these. So in a nutshell, we're thinking in terms of, how do we sort of group and categorize the recommendations that we want to make, and then more importantly, this is your opportunity as commissioners, and I dare say those of you who are members of the public, if you want to get in on this one, you can too, to start putting recommendations up there. And again, ideally, I'd like to have it all set up so we have, the various categories and we can kind of start moving things around. But if we want things that we want to include in those recommendations, and if you don't want it just to be what I and Dr. Gewirtz and Dr. Commissioner Coles and others who've been working on this, if you want more than just what's coming out of our brains, this is your opportunity to get some of those ideas in so that we can include them and incorporate them, and hand this all over to our colleagues at 3PV who are taking the lead on writing. So with that, I will open things up, and I know Commissioner Hughes, you had your hand up first.
Thanks. I have a comment and two questions. The comment is it's really helpful to me reading through this spreadsheet with the different tabs that divides up the recommendations sort of thematically. That helps me think through what is included here. So I appreciate that method of organization. One question for the hearing recommendations tab is that meant to sort of be recommendations in terms of should other states or entities wish to undertake this exercise, this project, what we would recommend in terms of how to go about doing that? That's one question. The second question is, I think it is interesting to understand which of these recommendations we heard in the hearings from members of the public who were informants or otherwise witnesses, versus which ones the commission might come up seeing this more globally and having recommendations. I'm wondering